All right, you're welcome. In this video we're just going to be looking at the box model. It's an introductory video to the box model, and this is where CSS gets really exciting, because you start to style your HTML code using the box model. Okay, so first off, I would like to just quickly explain on a basic level. Everything you do on your web page is embedded in a box. So you see your text right here. This text that we have been working with is actually in a box, but until you specify the box using your border property, your padding, and your margin or your background color, you will not see that box. They remain invisible. So the way your website is displayed is actually in 4 phases. First is the content box. After that you have the padding box, so we did this picture to explain that, and then you have the border box, and of course you have the margin box. So we're going to be working on these 4 concepts. We are going to show you the content box, we'll show you the padding box, we'll show you the border box, and of course the margin box very shortly. So what we are going to be doing now, we are going to be styling our para 1 so that you will see in clear terms what we are talking about. So the first thing we do, in order for you to see our content box, which is this one right here, is we are going to create a background around this our text. We are going to give our text a background color, and to do that, we have done that before in some of our previous videos. So simply just type background hyphen color, and we'll put our quote our column there, and we're going to use the color light blue. Okay, the value for our property background color is going to be light blue, and we'll end it with a semicolon. We'll save this and would hit refresh here, and as you can see, it is now our text on the web page is now encased in a box. You can see that our text on the web page is encased in a box, and the box has a light blue background. Okay, but you also notice that our text is very close to the edges of the box, and you know that is not too appealing, does not have a visual appeal. So what we'll do next now is to create our padding box, and how you simply do that, you guessed it, is to simply type padding and give it a pixel value. You can also give it a percentage value, or you can give it an em value, or of course you can use keywords like we talked about in our previous videos when we're talking about font sizes. Okay, so we're simply just going to type padding. You put your column, and we're going to give this a pixel count of let's say 20 pixels, and we'll put a semicolon. We're going to save this, and we hit refresh, and as you can see, there's a lot of space now around our text encased in this box, and that is giving it a lot more visual appeal. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we are going to give it a border. You know, the border is the final is the third in the series of these 4 steps. Is the third in the series. That's the border here. So we're going to be giving this a border, and border has several properties, and we'll be talking about border properties in our future tutorials, but here we're simply just going to talk about 3 of the properties. We'll explain more in our future tutorials, and we'll just simply talk about border width. That's border hyphen width. You put your colon, and we're going to give that a width of let's say 5 pixels. And you end that with your semicolon. Create your border color. You have to give your border a color, otherwise it will not be visible, because they are actually, your border is here your padding is here, and of course your margin is here. Until you give them until you specify them, it will not be visible. So what we are doing now, we are specifying it and we are giving it a color value, and we are going to make that indigo. That's a bit of dark blue. Okay, and we end that with a semicolon. And lastly, we'll create our border style. There are many values that you can give to your border style, but we are simply just going to stick with the solid value that we have been using. In our future tutorials, we'll talk about the other values that you can put in here for our border style, but for now we're just going to use a solid, and we'll close that with a semicolon as usual. We'll save this up, we'll hit refresh, and as you can see, that is looking a lot better now, isn't it? Okay, so now we have our padding within the box, right, and it's creating enough space around our text, and we have clearly defined the edges of our border. Okay, we have clearly defined the edges of our border. We have specified the color, we have specified how thick we want it to be, that is the width now, and we have also specified the type of border that we want to work with. So lastly, we are going to be looking at our margin. By default, your browser assigns a margin. Your margin is the distance between your border and the edge of your screen or the edge of your web page, which is here. Okay, which is here, this little space you are seeing here that I'm hovering around with our mouse, and over here also, that is your margin. And the computer on its own, the browser on its own, assigns a margin value. But what if you want to have or create more value margin? You simply specify how much more margin you want, and you guessed it, you simply just type margin, you put your column, and then you specify. Let's say we want a margin of 25 pixels, and you end that with your semicolon, and we hit refresh. And as you can see, the margin is a lot more wider now on all sides, and you know, that is how you style your CSS document using your box model. This is just the introductory video to our box model. As we progress forward, we'll talk more on the box model. Thank you for watching. As usual, we'll see you in our next class.